Today marks the first day of practice for your Pittsburgh Steelers in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, as the story of the 2024 Pittsburgh Steelers begins to be written here on a Thursday. Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everyone. Here we are yet again on a Thursday, diving into Steelers news. Let's talk about all the Steelers news of the day. You're starting to see news pick up now that we've gotten out of the dead part of the offseason and into training camp. The pads will come on soon. The first few practices will be without pads as the Pittsburgh Steelers try to get used to being at camp, playing in that heat, and really just trying to get the work in here as they start to grow this football team into what they hope to be a real contender. Let's start out with a couple things that I found interesting yesterday with the Pittsburgh Steelers as they reported to training camp in Latrobe at St. Vincent's College. You're looking at Cole Holcomb, the inside linebacker that is very productive when he is in, when he has not been injured, but a guy over the last few seasons that has missed significant time, recently dealing with a horrific injury to that knee, and is now working on that rehab, but will start the season here on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. Now, what does that say about Cole Holcomb and his status working toward the 2024 season? In my eyes, I think it starts things off on a sour note for him. Am I completely writing him off? No, I'm not, but what he dealt with that injury and the significant rehab that has to be done in order for him to find his way back to this football field is a tall task. And we have to applaud him for even being to where he is right now in terms of his rehab. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say things aren't looking super bright for Cole Holcomb here as the Pittsburgh Steelers attempt to get him back on the field and attempt to keep that inside linebacker room steady and filled out with quality depth. So we'll see how that all unfolds for Cole Holcomb and the Pittsburgh Steelers there, but they brought in a guy like Tyler Matakevich, I think in preparation for the possibility of Cole not being able to perform and not being able to get back onto the field right away to start the 2024 season. Now we look at other things that are happening. It appears yesterday that Najee Harris seemed to be a little bit unhappy. They had to track him down. He had to be nudged out there to go speak to the media. He hasn't spoke to them since the Steelers declined that fifth-year option. According to some, he had to be nudged out to talk to everybody there in the media scrum. However, I reported yesterday or talked about it yesterday on the live show that Najee seemed to be whatever, and I think that's where he is at this point. I gave him credit for, just going back to work and just trying to get over the non-pickup of his fifth-year option. But some seem to think out there in the media world that Najee seems to be a little disgruntled with that he is moping around up there yesterday. Again, I didn't get a chance to see that, but maybe that is how he's acting. And if that's the case, I think that's a negative way to approach it for Najee Harris, because I think if you approach this season betting on yourself, really taking into consideration that you could play for big dollars. Now, yes, there's another side of that coin to where Najee could get an injury or something could happen to where he isn't as productive. But if you're betting on yourself, if you're Najee Harris, you just got to be hype. You got to put your head down and work and get it done and realize that this is where you are and it's not going to change right now, And you look at what reason the Pittsburgh Steelers supposedly gave Najee Harris as to why they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, a little under $7 million for his fifth year. And that was because they told him that they weren't sure which direction this offense was going to be going in. I find that to be a bullshit excuse, if that to be true. Mike Tomlin said that in his press conference, hey, if that's what Najee was told, that's what he was told. Really avoiding that. I have to applaud the media for trying to ask the tough question there, trying to get an answer out of Mike Tomlin, trying to get more out of Najee Harris in terms of how that all went down. But if that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers told Najee Harris, it shows me one thing, that it was a bullshit excuse. They just said something to say something to try to appease him. And what they're really valuing here, I believe, is Jaylen Warren. I think that they really have high hopes for him. Jaylen seems to be a more versatile back out of the backfield, seems to be a more do-it-all type guy, and maybe that is where the Steelers are leaning toward and where they're looking at their future at the running back position. Najee Harris, a former first-round selection by the Steelers, but yet I think the Steelers are still a little bit more high on a Jaylen Warren type runner. That's just where I think they're at. Do I think a deal gets done with Najee? Possibly. But again, like I said yesterday, guys, I think it's a real 50-50 chance. You look at Najee Harris, you look at his statistics, you look at what he means to this football team. It's a guy that you would really like to have on the team. It would definitely be something cool to keep him. I think that he's a quality ball player. But if you look and compare both backs, if you're asking me, I think Jaylen Warren is the more complete back and can do a little bit more. And I think you're going to get him at a cheaper cost. So I think that that's also what the Steelers may be thinking there. Also, guys, let's keep on going here. I have a little bit of list of things that I was trying to touch on here while we were on here on our Thursday upload of the show. Again, I appreciate you all so much for stopping through, as you always do. But let's continue to roll on here. What about Cameron Hayward not being available yesterday? For media availability. Nobody saw him around St. Vincent College yesterday, which I'm sure he's there somewhere. They reported that all players checked in, everything was fine. But you didn't see Cameron Hayward yesterday. What does that say about this situation and where Cam is looking for new money, looking for a new deal, trying to stay in Pittsburgh for the duration of his career? Where does that say that these talks sit? Cam Hayward not available, and he is a captain, a vocal leader of this football team, and for him not to speak yesterday for the first day of training camp, the check-in day, was quite puzzling. It's something that normally doesn't happen with Cam Hayward. He usually is a very vocal leader, especially with the media, and not seeing him is a cause for maybe a little concern on where they are sitting with this contract extension and where they might possibly want to go with it. And it makes you wonder if it's even something that the Pittsburgh Steelers are super interested in. Maybe they're not even close on the number. Maybe Cam is overvaluing himself. Maybe the Steelers are undervaluing him. We'll see. But it seems to definitely be taking a little bit of a turn to where maybe both sides are, maybe not just quite there yet. So we'll see how this all plays out. But I thought that was weird yesterday that Cam Hayward was not available. Again, a vocal leader for this football team. And I think that's a storyline that we should keep an eye out here on throughout training camp, throughout the remainder of this offseason as we continue to march toward opening day. Let's continue. Let's talk about Russell Wilson arriving at camp, a guy that has really been laser focused, guys, throughout camp so far, or throughout the offseason so far. I think he's put together a great offseason. I think he has been solid throughout, great with the public, great with the fan base, great with the franchise, saying the right things. He continued that theme yesterday, really complimenting his guys on the offensive side of the football, talking about how he is really, truly excited to play with these guys. Again, saying all the right things, guys. But I have to commend Russell Wilson with his commitment to this ball club and the way that he has been laser focused this offseason, at least what it seems from the outsider's point of view. You look at Russell Wilson, he really had some high recommendations for a couple guys that we've been talking about here on Mike Drop Sports and the channel. As a whole, we've been talking about them every single time we get the chance, and that's one, Connor Hayward. Russell is excited about his possibility of being a quality piece for this offense and how hard he works and what he may be able to bring. And if you recall, many times we have spoken here that Connor Hayward could potentially have a real breakout season, guys. And I have to be really pumped about that because when Russell spoke about Connor, it gets me super fired up. And I think that is something that definitely could happen. I really think that he's overlooked a lot of the times in terms of Connor Hayward. And I think that definitely you may see something special out of him this season. So keep your eyes on him. Russell Wilson seems to be excited about Connor Hayward also. So let's continue to watch that. Also, he mentioned everybody, really, but I felt like he was really excited about a couple players, one other being Calvin Austin. And I definitely think that his work ethic, Calvin's work ethic, is starting to shine through. And definitely something that's catching the eye, especially of the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, we'll see how this all goes. That was really cool. Russell propping up his guys, doing all the right things, continuing his excellent offseason, and that's just so cool to continue to see that and continue to see this team grow. And today, first practice at 10 a.m. Continue to watch out, guys. We're going to try to get to practice Saturday. So continue to watch out for the channel. We're going to cover this thing from top to bottom every time we get a chance. So continue to look for content, weekend content, 7 days a week here, whatever. We're going to be pumping it out as news becomes available, as talking points arise. So also, one last thing. What about this tight end room? Do they sign Pat F? There's a rumor out there that maybe they're close on a deal. That was from one of our viewers that may have a little insight there. So maybe there's a deal coming down the pipe with something like that in terms of a deal with Pat here in the next week or two. So maybe that happens. I'm not 1,000% sure. But that's a rumor that's being floated out there. So Pat Freiermuth possibly getting new money. We'll see how that all unfolds. But maybe things happen, man. We'll see exactly how this all goes down and continue to watch this team grow. So until tonight, guys, for Steel City Live, where I'll be joined by our boy Sean on a Thursday. I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace.